everyone. Welcome back to the Indie Basketball Podcast. We've got a little bit of a twist to our fantasy drafts episodes, which we normally do. This is a new segment we're starting called Playlist Makers, where we still have that fantasy draft format, but we're going to kind of put a playlist together to a prompt. And we got three awesome guests to do it this time. And I'll start by introducing you guys. First off, Josh Terry, you're a freelance music writer, lots of music writers in this group, but you're also hoop head of the group, and I think maybe the only one in this batch.
I don't.
Ian?
This is the Ian erasure. Yeah.
Oh, Ian.
I'm not in a fantasy basketball draft. I couldn't hang with those, but yeah, definitely a hoop head.
Love to hear it. Love to hear it. But Josh, thank you so much for joining, man.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
And as we just mentioned, we have Ian Cohen. You know, he's the co-host of the IndieCast. You write for Pitchfork and every music publication out there. But dude, thank you so much for joining.
And no problem. And yeah, I love that this podcast exists. Of late, I found that more and more indie artists are like just dying to talk about basketball. Like rather than just the same thing about tell me what influenced your record. Totally. The therapy talk is out, basketball is in. That's 2024.
Basketball is therapy, man.
Yeah.
And last but not least, we have Dan Ozzi, author of Sellout and co-author of Tranny with Laura Jane Grace. But dude, what a cast here, right?
No, what a collection of bi-coastal dudes. Like we have the whole United States of America covered here, right?
Wait, do we have the East Coast?
Josh is on Chicago. Do
we have two Chicagos?
So we're talking
Midwest.
The coast, as in Lake Michigan,
yes.
On the Pacific Ocean. The only two coasts that really matter. Yeah.
I would love to get some Boston represent. Can we get Luke O'Neill on real quick?
We need to get one. We need to get one of Tricks Point Never. Like I interviewed that guy like about basketball and nothing else for Grantland. So yeah, he's the real deal.
I know lots about basketball. I just want to say up front, I'm excited. Tony Gwynn, Barry Bonds.
Watch out for the Shaq. Watch out for the Shaq attack.
He's heating up.
That's great. We're doing a pivot. That's great. We were going to do album openers, but we're just going to do a basketball draft instead. I hope that's okay with you.
All right.
But yeah, as I mentioned, that's what we are doing, a little draft of. We're going to make kind of collaboratively make a playlist of album openers, of track ones. And I don't know about you guys, but as I was doing my research, I started to kind of panic a little because there is just so much good stuff.
Can I ask how you guys, what the criterion that you guys came up with? Obviously, side one, track one, but what were the criteria that went into your picks?
So for me, it was kind of weird because, I know that not everyone is a sports fan here, but if you've ever done a fantasy draft and it's like a guy comes up to you and is like, hey man, can you be in my fantasy draft? And then you do the draft, but it's like only 4 or 5 people. And it's like, my team's going to be amazing. There's only 5 teams to play against. So it's kind of like that, but it's like, we just have to choose between all of recorded music. And we all have different tastes, Ian and Dan, you're different, and I'm different than you guys in terms of what I like. So I was thinking, I'm like, do I just want to like fuck up Ian's day and choose classic emo albums?
That's the thing. Like, I'm like, most of these are just gonna be like defensive picks. Like, I learned like the names of all the Against Me album openers just for the sake of spiting Dan.
I don't know. Not being a fantasy draft aficionado, I really feel like I did the equivalent of picking like 6 long snappers. like I just picked 6 punters,
Tom Brady, is he still in the league? Sure.
But I just want to say I did a really bad job of mine because I tried to do it yesterday afternoon. And I'll just say for me that the things I didn't play defensively, or I wasn't thinking about the draft. I just tried to pick openers for albums. I think one of the qualifiers was that I have to actually love the album too. Like if it's just a great track one on a stinker album, I'm like, I don't have room for that. So I have to like really love the album as a whole. And the first song has to like kick it off. I also leaned into songs that like sort of establish who the band is and what the album is right up front. Like, I'm a big sucker for that. So like those were the things that I tried to like keep in mind versus just like, oh yeah, this is a really good opening song or whatever, you know, like the special ones. I clearly put way too much thought into it. You guys were thinking of how to destroy one another, and I fucked up.
No, I mean, and honestly, let's kind of like break down, I guess, what to expect in this, because like this is a fantasy draft, but as I mentioned, like ultimately we are making a playlist. So is there strategy in that? Do you want to piggyback someone so you have good flow? That might be hard to do, but like, you know, it is something we could do. It's really open to us, you know. This also could very well be what we think are the 20 best album openers that there are, you know, like it really can go any way. So I like that flexibility.
Yeah, I think for me, like just to kind of narrow it down and also to, you know, kind of be on brand with the way I interact with Steve on IndieCast. My cutoff point is the year 2000. Music doesn't exist prior to that point. I kind of had to limit it to that. And otherwise, you know, same sort of things that like Dan was talking about. Like I'm really a sucker for like you know what the album's about within like the first 5 seconds of it. And also like I give a little bit of added weight to if it's a band kind of reintroducing themselves or like clearly leveling up, like how you know that within the first 5 seconds. Unfortunately, like one pick that like clearly meets both criteria that I had to cut out because of the time is of course My Own Summer Shove It. That is like that's how you do a second album level up, but you know that's not what I'm picking. You know, wink wink, because it was 2000 or
and on that note, like, you know, as we're going through, let's not throw out any that potentially someone else might want to, you know, grab off the board. So let's no spoilers or anything like that, but I feel like it's safe to say, you know, if we are making a playlist, if a pick goes from a band, you're probably not going to want to pick another song from that band. Like I feel like if one goes, it's off the board.
Yeah, Dan can't choose the Deaf to like mini maggot back to school. that remember when you made for real opening track of White Pony.
Remember when you made Laura Jane listen to that album for the first time and she was like, this is what the whole thing sounds like? No, it's not.
And this is like when every record was, you know, like an hour long, and so we were just like in her recording studio and practice space and she was just having a bad time listening to this record.
All right, so nobody's drafting that.
Okay.
All right, guys. Well, let's start this thing. Number 1, Smells Like Teen Spirit, Nirvana. Who's got that?
So, well, honestly, let's get into it. We'll decide the draft order, and this is going to be done through a very arbitrary trivia question that whoever is the closest will get to decide what the order is. And, you know, as we get into it, as we said, you know, whoever gets to go first, there's going to be serpentine, so we'll go back and forth. Whoever goes first gets that first pick, and then because of that, whoever has fourth pick will get to pick the last song on the playlist. So we'll start with that trivia question, and this will be a fun one. Who can get closest?
Is it like, are we buzzing in, or it's like
we'll just go. Everyone gives their answer, and then we'll see who's closest. So it's not going to be Price is Right rules. We don't have to go. You know, I mean, it's whoever's going to bid the lowest. But so the song "Serious" by the Alan Parsons Project. You may know this as the Chicago Bulls starting lineup song.
Damn, I thought
it's also it's also an album opener. And I want to know, how long is the song?
We're talking about the song that goes like do.
Yeah, absolutely. So
are we going? Oh, I don't know if everybody's.
I think everyone has a different order, but Dan, we'll start with you.
6 minutes 32 seconds. I went high, Bob. I went high.
Okay. All right.
I'll go next, you know, and I can't believe with like Dan House we didn't say like the Alan Parsons Project, which I believe was some sort of hovercraft joke. I'm gonna go with a solid 3:45.
All right, Josh.
You know, I think it's 2.5 minutes.
Okay, so
Josh, you got to go 1 second, dude. Don't you watch $1, Bob?
I too thought this was a long one. It's actually quite short, and it's 1:55. So Josh is the winner
Everybody
here.
went
So
over.
basically a
Price is Right
hardcore
rule.
song.
Yeah.
I said it's not Price is Right.
Did Joyce Manor write that song?
Yeah.
Right?
The fucking epic, yeah.
So, Josh, you get to determine what the order is.
I'll go fourth.
Fourth. Okay, you want to close it out.
Yeah, that sounds good. But it's
Okay.
also like Snake, right? So I get to choose twice in a row, right?
Correct. You'll get 4 and
Yeah.
5.
Sweet.
So
I'm down.
who's going where?
You're the host. You're why don't you go first?
All right, that's fine.
Because you're
with
the
me.
only wild card. Like I can guess. I can guess what Ian and Dan might pick, but I have no idea what you're gonna pick.
It might be
So
a little
I
bit of
might as well
everyone.
just get it up. Yeah. All right, Matt, start us off.
Well, who's second and third? I just want to make sure I get this order
it's
done.
Dan and Ian. We're do
Dan.
alphabetical.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. So if I am kicking off the first pick of this draft, it's a tough decision to do the album opener of album openers. I got to make sure I have my playlist up because I don't know about you guys, but my short list is almost 40 songs. So this isn't going to do me any favors.
Jesus.
I think
You've heard 40 albums in your life? Fuck, dude, you got me beat.
I think I'm gonna go with this is obviously a very personal pick for me. It's one of my all-time favorite bands, one of my all-time favorite albums. I'm gonna go with I'm Trying to Break Your Heart by Wilco. And
Okay.
in this my statement, I mean, obviously it's one of
Feel
the
right at home, IndieCast style.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, it's one of their biggest songs. It's they have a documentary titled after it. And to me, this is maybe a bold statement to kick it off. I think Wilco has the best track ones of any band ever. The most consistent track ones. I always love their first tracks.
Matt, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that I'm probably the only person that's going to agree with you here.
I know. I think they're good, but I mean,
yeah. I don't know if they're best, but it's also like really funny because we both live in Chicago and look like this. I did not choose Wilco at all. That's a great pick, and it was not at all on my top 20.
Wilco's got too many albums to make that claim,
I mean,
okay.
can you tell me what the Ode to Joy opener is, or the Schmilko one?
Fair. But
Star Wars doesn't Star Wars start with like a minute long
it's like EKG or something like that.
Yes,
yeah.
I think either way, Art of Almost.
Well, that's great. Yeah,
I think Can't Stand It is the Summer Teeth track one. I mean,
at least
lot.
That's what you said. That one is crazy.
If you got an original Beef of Chicagoland shirt on,
and Misunderstood on being there, shit's good. You're right.
It's a homer pick. What can I say? I can't help it.
I love it.
But that's the first pick. That's what we're gonna kick it off with, and that's gonna lead us over to Dan for the second pick.
Okay, so I don't know if I should be playing defensively and taking what I think Ian's gonna put on there, but I'm not. I'm gonna hold that pick to put. By the way, when I made this, I don't know what I had just gotten back from urgent care and I was all full of painkiller, so this is fun. But I'm gonna go with Cave In, the first song on Until Your Heart Stops. Truly, like another noted dude, David Anthony, wrote an article once about how, for better or worse, that album pretty much invented metalcore, but good. And I just think the first 15 minutes of that album are like maybe the best 15 minutes of hardcore ever recorded, and that album opener is just unreal. Like, it starts with this insane riff. Invented a whole genre in the first 10 seconds. So yeah, gotta give it to Cave In.
Awesome. That's a good pick. I'm one of the weirdos with Cave In where I like the softer stuff more. And
that's a fine opinion to have.
Buy an antenna for $6.99 at Best Buy.
Antenna Justice.
Was that the one that from like 2002 or 2003?
Yeah. But that's an awesome pick. I mean, I love Cave In all around. And that is it's gonna be funny when we put this together though, and we're gonna hear Wilco go.
Yes, that's gonna be very jarring for sure.
I mean, I think the way I'm trying to break your heart ends leads well into something a little more harsh.
Until your heart stops. Yes, I'm trying to break your heart and into until your heart stops.
All right, now you set a precedent, and you have to keep it going.
Yeah.
So the next one has
like,
to have
exquisite. We're doing like exquisite corpse type poetry or whatever. All right, so for me, I'm going to make a choice that kind of aligns sonically. This and also it's just a way to kind of like establish my footprint because this song's really long. It makes the criteria of like a band like leveling up, a band where you know exactly what you're getting out of this album within the first 5 seconds. And of course I love the album as well, so I'm going to put Dreamhouse by Devin in there. I feel like this is, kind of similar to like what Dan was saying about Cave In. Like, I don't know if I don't want to like test the waters with like metal people, but whether or not they like invented that, like nothing was the same after this album came out. Like I really, really don't think that there's going to be another metal album that has, the critical footprint of, Sunbather. Whether we're just talking about like font or just like the cover art or what have
whether
you.
We're talking about font is such a good thing.
Graphic designer nods his head.
Oh.
If you want to go into like typeface, really, like
we're gonna be
indie basketball. Fonts. We've shifted into the fonties.
Yeah.
The 2020.
We're taking
fonties.
Side bets on the typefaces right now.
But no, like when they did the 10-year anniversary issue, right? Didn't they do like a thing where you could like buy the typeface?
Oh man.
I think they did that. Shout out to Nick Steinhardt.
Is it Dido?
But I think that album, it's like an album within an album, even though there's like 51 more minutes of it. I think that is just like one of the before and after songs of the past decade, and also it kind of meshes well. Like for me with mixes, like it has to flow. Like you have to have some sort of connection from one song to the next. So plus I wanted to see what Josh's most metal pick is. So.
Well, and that
if
album
he decides to go that route.
That album is perfect because the band in general, like it bridges the gap between genres. So you kind of pull in people from like who like a little bit of dreamier stuff, but then you also pull in the metal dudes, and like it pulls it together.
Yeah, and you get like the metal dudes, you get to hate on the fucking wimp ass people like myself who go to like one metal show per year, and it's that.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, everybody wins.
All right, Josh, first round pick 4.
Yeah, so rules question. So we're supposed to think about this as a playlist, not just as like personal preference. Here's my taste.
I mean, dude, do it. Okay. Draft what you want.
All right. So like when I made my list, I sort of like thought about it a couple different ways. Because like one, I write a Substack. I'm not Rolling Stone. I'm not trying to like do the canon or anything like that. I'm just kind of like picking records that I really like and were really formative. And
you're not Rolling Stone. Do you think Billy Corgan, as 2 Chicago area people, is one of the 250 best guitarists of all time?
True. Yeah. So okay, this is like one of my all-time favorite records. I feel like when you're looking at an opener, it kind of, when it's a great record, it kind of has to like be the thesis statement of the record. So I chose Farewell Transmission, the Sons Ohio song off Magnolia Electric Company.
Yes.
I also think that is a record where, Jason Molina had 6 great records before this one came out, but this one kind of leveled it up and like made the sound a little more muscular, and it kind of was the record that got a lot of people to discover his back catalog. Yeah. And like lyrically, you can't fuck with it. It's just
what an
it's just
opus
really
of
good.
A song. Yeah.
Yeah. You know everything you need to know about Jason Molina with just that song.
I think I always found interesting too is that album is Magnolia Electric Company, and then he proceeded to just turn his music into Magnolia Electric Company. It shows how important it is to him too.
Yeah, has that ever happened before where the album is so good that
microphones?
Oh, that's right.
Area.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
interesting. That's a great pick. Honestly, I completely forgot about that song, and it's such a good one. But
my
piggyback
number 2, my number 2, which this is gonna fuck up the playlist a little bit, but it's all openers, so who cares?
That's the goal, honestly.
Everything in its right place by Radiohead. I gotta call IndieCast, shout out Stephen Hayden. Yeah, Kid A was just the record that kind of changed my life.
Yeah, I'm the one with the fucking like tattoo on my forearm. So.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, no, yeah, this record just kind of blew my mind. Yeah, I was probably 12 years old when I first heard it, and I didn't know. I mean,
yeah, I was like 20 in college. Like,
I think that's the story for a lot of people, and I was a late bloomer on Radiohead. Honestly, it's only been the past couple of years that really some tracks finally clung to me a little bit, because for some reason it was always difficult for me to actually dive in, but I was a late bloomer in that one, and that is a pick I completely agree with.
You saw Vanilla Sky for the first time in
yeah.
That's what got me the biggest cigaros.
Yeah.
There were like more than one Radiohead songs on the Vanilla Sky soundtrack.
Mm-hmm.
I Might Be Wrong is in there too. Yeah, good movie.
Absolutely. Ian, you're following it up with your next one.
All right, so I'm inclined to say that with if we're I'm moved to think about something that matches with the mood of it, with things that blew my mind in college when I was 20 years old. And so from going from Kid A to something that came out a little earlier that year, but took a band from they were known for like a rougher and raw sort of sound into something a little more cosmic. I'm going to go with Third Planet by Modest Mouse. Another signal of like a band that is, it's obviously like their major label debut. And when I hear that song right now, I'm like just thrown right back into being in a position where I could have my mind blown by an indie rock. It's a major label band, but you know what I'm talking about. I think that like it is, it's a thesis for an album that like is very philosophical, very kind of like redneck cosmic, redneck cosmology, if you will. And the build of it and the production of it, and it as an added bonus, I think it flows well with everything in its right place. So I feel like there is a flow to this playlist thus far. It doesn't just completely start over and over again.
Thank you for keeping that string alive.
Yes.
Modest Mouse is a good first song band. Dramamine off the debut, and then
I thought about that one on what do you call it? But it's the horn intro,
which
is
Good News track
one. There were a few albums that omitted themselves from the running by doing like a weird track one.
Pretty much all rap.
Yes. No, I love 50 Cent sketch. I love the coin dropping sketch.
I considered Teeth Like God's Shoe Shine, and
when you do the draft for hip hop album sketches, you gotta assemble the same crew.
Absolutely, that'll be a good follow up. The sequel.
Eminem's just gonna fucking dominate. Yeah,
it's gonna be all big timers intros. Like those are like I would just rank those.
And then you're gonna get some controversy if someone's drafting a Kanye sketch. Like what's gonna happen? I don't know.
Kanye didn't do a lot of sketch. We're
in his early albums.
Oh, Broke Fight Broke. On Late Registration, that was classic. Or the Chris Rock one at the end of Blame Game.
All right, following up Modest Mouse, Dan, what are you taking?
I think I might take the record for the shortest intro song, because this one's only, hold up, I hit it, it's gonna start playing. I think it's like a minute 42. But kind of what Ian was saying about, I don't know, something being anticipated. Manifest, the first song on Weaker Than's Reconstruction site, because Left and Leaving is probably a top 10er for me, and it came out in 2000, and I just used to see them all the time. Would see them again, they hadn't put a new album out. Would see them again in 6 months, they hadn't put a new album out. So it's just like very much waiting for 3 years, which is such a long time when you're like late teens. And then they put out Reconstruction Site, and that first few seconds where it's that like triumphant, like ding, I want to call requests through heating vents. Fucking, I was just like, they're back. They're back. We are so back. That was when that phrase was invented. And I just deeply remember that coming out and being like, yeah, my favorite band is back. So big love for that one.
Definitely a song that just like immediately gets you amped to listen to. The rest
and
of the
it's
album.
so barely a song, 100 minute 43, so quick.
How is it that the one guy without the beard on this podcast is picking a weaker than song?
I live in on the West Coast now. We don't get cold anymore, which cuts down my weaker than listening time quite a bit.
It's below 60 right now in San Diego. I'm gonna freeze my goddamn ass off. There's nothing colder than a house in Los Angeles in December.
Chicago
when they make windows here, they were like, what do you mean weather treated? What is that? Fine. They're just looking out. You just look at them,
With Manifest though, there's you also have the benefit. They have the reprise later, right? They have that sort of echo.
They have
later in the
3
album.
parenthetical songs on that album, and I love all of them.
Yeah,
great fucking album. Again,
absolutely.
like album that I just dearly love, and the first one just drops me right into it. So that was a big criterion for me.
My now wife, one of the the first songs, I'm like, hey, I kind of like you, and of course I had to send the reasons, even though that's a little corny, but it's just such.
It's better than sending
album.
The Reason by
Hoobastank.
I sent that as well.
Hoobastank, yeah.
It's a good double feature.
Yeah. That's the album. That's the 7-inch that needs to happen. The Reason back with The Reasons.
Yes.
The Hoobastank weaker then's crossover.
Was that a track one?
Waiting. Yeah. Well, I got Hoobastank next. I don't know if you guys.
Well, Crawling in the Dark, was that the opener on that album?
I don't know enough.
Ian,
I can't speak on Hoobastank.
That song fucking whiffs. I'm gonna absolutely look this up.
Ian's, is this called calling an audible in sports terms? Yeah. Ian's adding Hoobastank at the last second. Is that what?
I'm looking up. I'm looking at the Wikipedia, and Hoobastank's musical style has its own category. They've been categorized as post-grunge, alternative rock, hard rock, and new metal, but that's a progression from their earlier funk metal and ska punk songs. So, yeah, it's oh my god! Do you know what you want to know the first Hoobastank album was actually named? This is relevant, I promise you.
Yes.
They sure don't make basketball shorts like they used to.
No way.
Incredible. Get them on the pod.
They gotta come on.
Yes, Crawling in the Dark is the opening track
Pretty
on
huge.
their 2001 platinum.
You showed us, Ian.
Pretty huge.
All right.
Well, I am not going to pick Hoobastank. I am going to follow up Manifest with I think it'll flow okay. And I honestly think the song can flow into anything because the way it starts is kind of a reset a little bit. I'm gonna go with maybe the greatest emo song of all time, Never Meant by American Football. I mean, what a way to start.
Almost more meme than song at this point.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean,
Pretty good.
Josh, I don't know if you were at the show. I saw them this summer, and they played Never Meant twice.
Oh, it's the rock and roll all night of emo.
Yeah, absolutely.
Make some more fucking songs, guys.
I think I like too that going into this song from the previous, you have that little figuring out of the riff in the beginning and like the little drum fill before they actually start, and then once the riff comes in, it's like, all right, we're here. Let's kick off the rest of this. Such an iconic song.
That song is undeniable. It's it inspired a lot of bad music and a lot of good music.
Yes.
It's sort of like the thing that happened in rural Illinois or college town and just sparked a lot.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Just a whole genre of stuff that sounds about.
I mean, name a more famous music house.
Maybe the Let It Be house.
All right,
the replacements Let It Be house. Okay.
Yeah, fuck that place. American Football House.
I'm all right. I'm going back to back. I'm going to go. We're gonna pick it up a little back. I feel like we kind of the pace kind of simmered a little. and then we'll pick it back up with 7 by Sunny Day Real Estate, which is just the energy in that one again, like you were saying, Dan, like the energy kicking off that album is just like, that is obviously a top song for them, and it just gets you amped to listen to the rest of it. I love that song so much, and it was a joy seeing it live this year, last year.
Yeah. William Goldsmith looks like he's been trained to like beat the shit out of Dave Grohl over the past 15 years. He was a beast out there, man.
Absolutely. And you mentioned Boston. I actually went all the way to Boston for that one because I think it was before they announced Chicago shows. So I have a habit of doing that. I did that with Just Remember Plan. I drove to Philly to see them for their reunion before they announced Chicago. But I love the road trip to see a band. So, all right, Dan, you're up next.
Well, if none of my brethren on the podcast are going to be allies and put women on the playlist, then I guess I will do better, fellas. An album that I really like. I don't think I love it all the way through, but I remember I have it on vinyl, and it was such a like, I'm going to just drop the needle on the first song because I just love hearing the way this starts. But I really, really love Cat Power's The Greatest. Like, that's probably my favorite Cat Power song. I don't think my favorite Cat Power album, but I do love the way it kicks off. Lyrically, I spent a lot of time trying to like discern what she was talking about, which I think is a nice, it's not very direct, but it's so poetic and good. So getting Cat Power on there.
Yeah. That is definitely one
classic
of my
indie rock.
Yeah. Which I also found out recently, she's a basketball fan.
Oh, is she?
I did not know.
I was at a bar recently, and I was
way.
Like, get out of here.
drinking my Topo Chico, and I was at a bar, and somebody was like, kind of like, a woman was kind of like yelling in my ear, like from behind, and she like touched me, and she was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry," and I was like, "Yeah, no problem," and I like realized it was like her, and I just like, I don't know why, because I totally froze up. Like, that's such a weird reaction for me to have. I don't know why she of all people did it, but I was like, okay, no problem. Don't worry about it. Like, she really intimidated me, and I don't know why.
I swear to God, this happened to me with Jack White. Almost
Really?
the same thing. But I didn't freeze up because I'm not really a White Stripes or Jack White fan. So I was at Wrigley Field watching the Cubs baseball game. I think this was the 2016 playoffs, and this was like post Jack White being filmed looking sad.
Yeah, I thought I was gonna ask.
And so, it was not the day, but he was dressed in all black. And that's kind of like, he stuck out because everyone was wearing Cubs gear, and he's like, I'm not gonna look like a little boy in a meme wearing a Cubs.
I'm not
Bill Murray
today. It's like Billy Corgan at Disneyland. Yeah, it's like, I'm not going on that ride again.
It's postseason baseball. I'm nervous as hell, so I just get 2 beers to just drink throughout the game. I'm not leaving my seat, and so I'm hanging on to these 2 beers, walking back to my seat, and then I bump into someone. And I look, and it's Jack White, and he's like, "I'm so sorry." And I say, "It's okay, Jack White." And it looks like he looks at me like I shot him. Like, it's like the Lee Harvey Oswald. And then I just sort of start walking again. And
clutched his pearls.
Yeah, he was sort of
how did you say Jack White? It's like, I'm sorry, Jack White.
No, I was
like, did you put any stress on Jack White?
No, I didn't put any stress on it. I said it as deadpan as I could. I'm like, "Oh, it's okay, Jack White," and just kept walking.
It's like saying "sir."
Beautiful moment. Yeah, but that was not the only like rock star, like, because this was the playoffs. The Cubs won the World Series that year. Tom Morello was in my section. And the whole time I was just trying to like, get like a head nod from Tom Morello. And sure enough, I got it. It was great. Got a high five too.
Yeah, he's great head nod type for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. This reminds me of the time I thought I saw Zach De La Roca at my gym, but it wasn't. I did see Patton Oswalt there though.
Victory.
Yeah, shout out to bodybuilders. I don't think they're there anymore.
Ian, you're up
What was
next.
it? All right. I don't know. Do I want to go with to counterbalance what Dan was saying, like pick something like Sowing Season by no, I'm just kidding. I'm gonna choose RSK Nephew American Terrorist, which is tech. No, I'm just kidding. If I was going by the metric, yeah, I want to take up as much real estate as possible
Right.
on this one. And I think it's technically the opening track on Crack Therapy 3, but I would be lying if I say I heard any other songs from that. But I don't know. I think this is kind of I think that I'm just gonna like throw away the idea of sequencing right now and come up with something I feel is just like kind of throw a wild card in there. Like let's consider like this playlist being split into side A and side B. And I think maybe this one cracks it open. I want to put the family intro from Clips, Lord Willing, because it is so difficult for a rap album, like, or not difficult, but so rare. Like aside from like I'm thinking like Jay-Z Can't Knock the Hustle is a good example of like a song that just like kind of it says like it just goes right in like bar one. And of course I'm not gonna like say the actual lyric, but that just it just really puts you right within like what the album is doing. And I wanted to just throw one rap song in there because like the rare time where like I don't skip the intro like 20 years down the road. So I'm throwing a little curve here largely to see like what happens when we do that.
I mean, yeah, I love breaking it up because this is actually like right at the halfway point anyway. So yeah, that's the I honestly wasn't sure if hip hop would go, where it would go, but I'm happy to see this playlist getting it's reaching all genres. It's great. And last pick of this round is Josh. You going back to back.
Okay. I'm going to choose, I don't know. This is tough because I have 20. You shouldn't have told us to pick 20. There's like way
you got to be safe. You never know. Someone's going to take every single one on your list.
All right. Yeah, I'm debating. Like, do I go for like just what I like or stuff that I like that's also like important? Or do I don't know, try to stick with the theme? I'm not going to do any of that. I'm going to go for something that I feel like Dan might pick. I might have the first defensive pick, but I think this song is just such a good opener.
Sorry, man. There was a never meant pick already. I think that
that is like, yeah, that is the only one that I did have never meant as a defensive pick, and someone already took it, but it was like earnest, and I also just love Never Meant. But I think Dan is going to pick a song by this band, I think, but it's not going to be the song that I'm going to pick by this band. I'm going to choose Pup, and I'm going to choose Guilt Trip, the first song off their first record.
Oh,
and
kind
there's
of launched a career sound,
Yeah. There is an argument that if this tour doesn't kill you is their best opener.
But without
you need DVP with that
too.
You need DVP with it.
You do need DVP. So I'm gonna go with Guilt Trip.
Deal.
I'm gonna, they're I love Pup. I haven't really written about them since the debut. They're like good buds, but great band, and I think Guilt Trip is the one.
Yeah. Pup. Is if it wasn't an EP, is Anaphylaxis the first song on that EP? Because that is my favorite Pup song, and I would if EPs don't count, but I go for that one. That's a great pick though.
Morbid stuff though. Like Guilt Trip might be my third favorite Pup opener. Damn, but that's a good call.
Whoa.
Damn, are you roasting his pick, dude?
Hey, we're just busting balls here, man. Busting balls here on indie basketball.
Josh, you're back to back.
Oh, that's right. I have two more picks after this, right?
Yeah. Yes, you will have the this last pick of the entire thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Damn. Okay. This is just such an iconic one. This is probably like if you Google best opening tracks, this is gonna be there. But for good reason. I'm gonna go with Patti Smith, Gloria off Horses. It's like one of the most iconic opening lines ever.
Absolutely. I really thought you were gonna pick Smells Like Teen Spirit, to be honest.
I don't care.
I thought we were going to go with Slipknot's "People Equal Shit." But that's the second song on Iowa. There's also an intro on that.
Did you have a list of ones you actually want to pick, and then a list of ones to make as a joke?
No, no, these are all earnest. These are all earnest. Yeah.
No.
Well, there's a couple.
Gloria's great. I was mostly talking about Ian throwing out the randoms out there. But yeah, I love Gloria. I mean, that's one of the. I think that might be the only Patti Smith album I actually have on vinyl, but I need more. But yeah, it's a great starter to the album.
I did have picks that were like just things that might make the other guests mad. You know?
Yeah, those on.
Just like a bunch of Bob Dylan songs, one from the Grateful Dead, and just like all of their favorite artists.
Dick's Picks Volume 57.
I don't know. Yeah, I did
listen. Yeah, I did listen to the latest episode of Guys about jam band guys, so I'm like prepared. Yeah. I'm actually prepared to talk Widespread, Humphreys McGee, if we want to take it there.
Let's go.
Well, if you want to make that your next pick, you're next up, so feel free.
Who's
Ian? Oh, Ian's up. Sorry.
Okay. So we did Patti Smith, Gloria. You know, I'm just gonna like go with something that feels I don't know if iconic's the right word. I think this is just an album that like I love like way more than everybody else, but I do think it still matches most of the criteria, which is that it reintroduces a band as like doing something extremely different than they did before. It announces like like going for a much more ambitious sound. And I don't know, Dan did a podcast about this album, so maybe it's a defensive pick. So I'm gonna go with Boxing Grand Paradise. That's
I did a podcast about that.
Didn't you do the Near My Godcast?
Oh yes, I did.
Wow.
Oh yeah, but I don't remember what the first song of that was. How does it start?
It basically sounds like a TV on the radio song, like I Can Be Romantic. Like I'm not gonna do the Connor voice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Ooh,
yeah,
this one,
good pick. Yeah, this one is like just like a real kind of I don't know, like not like just me doing me. I kind of have to be a little more on brand here, but I love the way that song builds. There's like 3 or 4 different times where sounds like the song is gonna peak. And I just love the way how like it ends. Like I can't see any, like I cannot do the guy's voice, but and also like the little outro piece like leads it into like we could go any number of directions. But still beating the drum for that album. Might be my favorite still of like the past 5-6 years. It's up, if not that, it's up there. And that to me is just like how it really grabs your attention and announces like, yeah, we're not the same band and we are going for something far more ambitious, like far more
love it.
Yeah,
we're trying.
So we're trying.
We're swinging. It's like Babe Ruth calling a shot, like
again,
it's
a try-hard anthem, this one for the try-hards.
That's a good pick. And honestly, I'm gonna be that guy and be like, man, I'm mad you took Bloodhound off my list.
Yeah.
Which is still fresh in my mind after seeing them 2-3 weeks ago. So
yeah, that's not coming to the West Coast for a couple more months. And I mean, there was another choice on that tour that I could have picked, but like I'm gonna not be too on brand.
It still might get picked.
Yeah. And I'm talking about, of course, the spoken word intro from Goodness.
No, we're talking about Emperor X.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Dan, you're up.
I really was hoping to do this one directly after Patti Smith just to fuck it up so bad. But I do have a couple of Chicagoland ones. And this one, I don't know, a little bit on the like sillier side, but definitely for a certain group of people, a really important just first 3 seconds, like it immediately. Alkaline Trio, Cringe, god damn it. Like kind of changed a lot, certainly for that band, but like definitely launched a certain kind of sound after that, like pop punk, but like moodier, more Kerouac-y, more gothy type of stuff. Or maybe they didn't. Maybe it's just it launched their career. I don't know. But I remember reading an interview with Mike Park that I think David Anthony did, where he said that like every single day when that album, that because Asian Man put that out, and he said that every day he would just start his day by playing that album, like the year it came out, like every single day for a year. It's just a good starter. Wide-eyed, knee-deep in surprise.
Yeah, I'm very jealous of that pick.
Love it.
Amazing.
Cool.
Oh, and it's the gateway to Blink-182, right? Because that's what I'm picking next. No.
All right. I thought about it, but I couldn't land on what would go first.
I mean, Going Away to College.
I think I like their like. I don't know. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah. I'm making my last two picks of the entire thing back to back. And yeah, I wasn't kidding, Ian. I am going to take an introduction to the album because it just feels so good. And seeing that live was, because I never got to see him their first, time around. I only got this was my first time seeing them a couple weeks ago, and that song live just kicked ass, man. And I really do feel like I'm glad this is actually later, because it does feel more like an end of an album song than it does an opener, even though it is called an introduction to the album.
Yeah. When they played Pitchfork Fest in 2016, that's what they closed with.
Yeah.
And I think they actually were for a while, because I think they would do that, either that or Dendron, or that into Dendron. And
yeah,
seeing them play the album was in full in order was interesting to kick it off like that. They played their newer stuff and then they started the album, which is great.
Good call.
Yeah, I could not pick this song, and I thought honestly, Ian, you would pick it.
Yeah, just try it. It's a very delicate balance of trying to be on brand but not too on brand.
Yeah,
for sure.
All right, my last pick. I feel like I need to kind of pivot based on, because I've just picked my past three picks have been American Football, Sunny Day Real Estate, and Hotelier. So I kind of need to do something a little different. I'm gonna go with what actually I think is a really good opener that should be a closer, much similar to an introduction to the album, and I am gonna pick Night Shift by Lucy Dacus. And I think the build of that song is just so good, and the way it finishes at the end is just like, it's so impactful. Her vocals just crush it, and it is hard to believe when you listen to it that is the start of the album. And I still love Historian so much. I like VHS, but I think that album still, it has so much more energy than her stuff in more recent years. And yeah, I think it's a good one to have towards the back of this playlist.
Nice.
All right.
Another Rolling Stone top 250 guitarist in Lucy Dacus. Yeah.
Which I'm not gonna fucking call balls and strikes on this, but like Lucy Dacus over Julian, if we're taking a pick from that band, get the fuck out of here. Sorry.
Yeah, but Phoebe's got the BC Rich guitar, so like that alone makes her like the prime Boy Genius guitarist.
So we're putting Lucy third on the one. I'm just saying.
Hey,
whatever.
Damn.
We're not going to be four guys who rank women based on guitar playing ability.
Getting on some David Crosby shit about like breaking.
You can't hurt us anymore.
She's going to call me a little bitch on Twitter, and that's it for me.
Yeah, anyone who gets a BC Rich guitar in 2023, I think she understands that like the point of guitar is just to look cool.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Remember on SNL when she smashed the guitar and that guy Brooklyn Dad Defiant was like, I don't really get this. This isn't cool. Like, shut up, you fucking nerd. What are you talking about?
Yeah, he became Brooklyn Dad confused at that point.
Yeah, he was Brooklyn Dad irritated.
Is that guy still out? Is he still?
I don't know.
I'm sure he's like on Blue Sky. I'm sure he's on Blue Sky.
Remember, it was like revealed that he took like 60 grand from like DNC think tanks or whatever to just tweet like, actually, it's kind of cool that Joe Biden craps his pants when he does debates. and then the one time he opened his mouth on pop culture, it was about Phoebe Bridgers.
my man. Yeah. Well, next episode we'll do like our favorite Twitter grifts.
Oh,
Yeah.
love that.
Fantasy draft Twitter people. Sounds great.
The DMs are getting open.
I did like in the beginning when the songs kind of made a sentence. I do think that we should do Mad Libs, like a punk rock Mad Libs. It'd be hard to do, but I think we could do it.
Yeah, songs that are at least 8 words long. That's the draft. You gotta do long sentence titles. Dan, your last song.
My last one. Okay, well, I'm gonna use this because I thought I'd be stealing it from Ian, and Ian hasn't used it. So let's put it on the big board. A More Perfect Union, Titus Andronicus. Fucking 7-minute opener or something like that.
Yeah.
It's just like serpentine, like kind of like multi-part opener. Talk about like statement of intent. Like, guy comes in and he's like, I wrote a fucking dense, complicated record. Here's 7 minutes of it up front with marching band, Abraham Lincoln samples in it. So yeah, gotta have that wild one in there.
So good.
Love it. Yeah. Also, Fear and Loathing in Mahwah, New Jersey is like also fucking awesome because like I love how it announces that out because like this sounds like it was recorded inside a toilet. This rules. But I think that follows the rubric of like just, hey, we actually have a recording budget now.
Yeah.
Awesome. Ian, what's your last one
gonna
be?
All right. So, like, God, there's so many songs I could put here that like follow within the the sound of A More Perfect Union, but like I wanted to go with something a little bit more muted. A lot of the songs that we've picked here are very energetic. And as we kind of close this album out, I want to take things into a more mysterious space. I'm picking the title track from The Ninth, Silent Shout, because like that one to me is just a band. It's sort of like everything in its right place in that now mind you, like they were known before for like doing like more kind of like synth poppy, like European like synth pop type stuff, and then like Silent Shout is just a song that just goes complete pitch black, muted. I really was thinking about doing Burial Archangel, but again, that's another album that has a little bit of an intro beforehand. So yeah, Silent Shout to me is just like immediately gripping in terms of like announcing a band that's like doing something that's ambitious and grand and a leap from what came before, but doing it in like almost an inverse way where it's it just kind of drops you off in the middle of the forest and like you don't know what the fuck is going on.
Yeah, that's a good way to kind of wind down the end of this one. But the final track of this playlist, what are you closing it out with, Josh?
This isn't on my list, but I think it would be so funny to close with Smells Like Teen Spirit.
That scene in High Fidelity when they're doing side one tracks one,
absolutely, and
he's like, gotta go with Teen Spirit. And what does he say? He's like, yeah, how about fucking Bach? How about fucking Paco Bell's like Symphony 1? That's another guy I saw the other day. I saw Jack White getting into a filthy Tesla, or Jack Black.
White,
I'm
or
sorry.
Jack Black.
I thought you were
Jack Black. Sorry. I saw Bach chilling. But if Bach was alive today, can we agree that he would be like the worst, like SoundCloud hype beast? Like, fuck.
Would he come on the podcast to talk basketball though? That's the question.
He would have that fucking haircut. That's like the
he'd be an
Jack
F1
Harlow
guy.
haircut.
He would be Skrillex too.
Yeah, I'm so glad we're fucking putting Bach in his place right now.
All right, my pick is not Smells Like Teen Spirit.
Okay.
I think it kind of goes off of Ian's
Everything's Zen by Bush.
Yeah, right. Well, I don't know. I think like now that I'm thinking about it as a playlist, like I really didn't starting with this, but I kind of think that like a good closing track would be, and it's funny because like I was thinking of like kind of mixing between songs I really like and songs that are important that I also like. I had My Bloody Valentine's Only Shallow, which is not a closing track, but I also had Slow Dive's Allison, which should be a closing track. It's super atmospheric. It's Slow Dive's now experiencing a new wave of popularity after almost 30 years, and Yeah. I think
Honestly,
it's a great
their
track.
opener on their album this year is fucking awesome.
It's the best song on the record for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, easily, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Which one are you going with?
Allison by Slow
Okay.
Dive.
Yeah.
Did we have a lot of overlap or none at all? I think I had Never Meant that.
Yeah.
I mean, clearly I told you my playlist is huge, so like everything overlaps, but
Right.
Really?
No, I'd say maybe I have 3 because I have bands, but I have different songs by them.
I had everything in its right place on mine.
Yeah,
right on.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
your
otherwise
Radiohead
I'm like,
picks were safe.
Do you? Does everyone want to go around just rapid fire like an honorable
round.
mention or two?
Yeah, absolutely.
So Josh, start off again. Was what you got? A couple? Just you want to rifle?
Yeah. So yeah, I had Iggy Pop, Search and Destroy. I had Avalanches, Since I Left You. I had Karen Dalton, Something on Your Mind. I had a Steely Dan song that would have been funny to do. Yeah. What's Going On by Marvin Gaye. I thought that would be a good one. Yeah.
Ian?
I want, keeping with the contemporary theme, I wanted to put like Eating Glass by Block Party. Because I use that song to tune my guitar. Arc Arsenal by At the Drive-In. That's like another one where it's like, yeah, it's fucking chest saving.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also I wanted to also do Untitled by Interpol, which is like the Sirius, the Alan Parsons Project Sirius of
Had that one.
Bathroom. I Want Wind to Blow by the Microphones, and Kill All Hippies by Primal Scream. Kind of like a more of an obscure one, but God, that is such best title, best album title, best bass, like best drop. Like Primal Scream's made a lot of shit music in their lifetime, but God, they nailed that one.
Hell yeah, man. And Dan, couple.
I had some like outsider, like wild card picks in case things got really hairy. But I had Gobbledygook on Sigur Ros's album that I can't say. That's the one with the like crazy, like pounding, like
the animal, the one where they wanted to sound like Animal Collective.
Yeah. But I think that's such an awesome intro. Also, too, I had a weird one. Like literally, books have been written about this album, but the first song on Astral Weeks by Van Morrison. By Van Morrison.
That was on mine too. Yeah.
Another lyric that I just love so much that I like try to wrap my head around every time I hear it. The opening is if I ventured in the slipstreams between the viaducts of your dreams, where immobile steel rims crack and the ditch and the back road stop, could you find me? Just love it. Like what a fucking and now he's singing like, you know, Fox News wants to cancel me or whatever. Now he's like CNN is mind virus woke. But and then 2 more too. If I was gonna do a rap pick, I think Ian was right in that there's not a lot of track ones that actually Bring the Ruckus being from Staten Island. I mean that first beat, you're like, oh my god, you know, like kind of changed my life just being from Staten Island. And then the last one I have, which is not even like a band that I like ride for very much, but like Ian said about like using something to tune your guitar, when I get like a new stereo or anything like that where I'm like, let me test these speakers, I put on Snakes for the Divine by High on Fire, because that fucking like riff, that like it's basically Rush for guys who can do a push-up, you know. And I just fucking like that album just rips, and it's so heavy. So like if I just want something to just like see how high the speakers can go, I'll put that. But also too, you know, like if we count it, I do that with like Phil or Minor Threat, like that opening chord, life-changing shit. But yeah, those were kind of my outliers there.
No one wanted to extend the playlist by like 20 minutes by doing like Dead Flag Blues by Godspeed You Black Emperor or anything like that.
Thought about
it. Just a couple for me. I had I mean, you mentioned Chicago bands. Cherub Rock was on my short list. Honestly, a true intro song, Intro by the XX, I think is a great kick off to that album. The New Year by Death Cab. I mean, I think there's a lot of good Death Cab options to play with in this one. Holiday by
might
Get Up
have
Kids.
better
Service,
they might have
but-
better intros than Wilco. That's like one band I think that like does
I'll-
better
I'll
side
allow
one-track
it, yeah.
ones. Even the shit albums.
Holiday, Get Up Kids, Feel the Pain.
Yeah.
And what was the last one I was gonna pick?
Is this
Waiting Room
thing
by
on?
Fugazi.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You know, if we can just tack one more on, because they're a Chicago band that I feel like everybody here has some affection for. One of my favorite opening lines on a record, that Ratboys Happy Birthday Ratboys.
Yes.
The opening line, I have a history of loving all the wrong guys. In high school, we studied Stalin. I said, I love that guy. Fucking brilliant.
Amazing.
Rhyming guys
lyric.
with guy. I mean, that's
Yeah.
Totally. Just big fan of that band, and that I love a record that like first sentence pulls you in as a great one.
I mean, realistically, I considered the first track on their new album. Like it is that I love. That's one of my favorites of the year, and I think it's such a good opener. All right, that's
Ian, did you ever like Q? And sorry, I'm gonna keep the podcast going. Ian, did your because I was really wondering if you would put this on, but I don't know if our college years overlapped enough on the same era, like
98 2002. That was me.
Okay, so did you like Not You, Soft Pyramids? Was that your scene at all? Because that, like, to me, when I hear that opening thing, that's like college to me. So I almost put it for that reason.
That seems like a little. It's weird because even though I was in Virginia, it's like there's this great Patton Oswalt bit about like how he grew up in Sterling, Virginia, and like missed out on like Fugazi and like Minor Threat. While like I was in like Virginia, and like I had very little awareness of like what was happening in DC, with the exception of like the Dismemberment Plan, because like I read about them on like the earliest version of Pitchfork.
Interesting.
Yeah. I think that was a little bit later. That and Wasabi Fave, like that scene just kind of escaped me at the time.
Yeah, there was not. I just want to say there, post-mortem on this, there were fewer picks from that era and scene than I thought, and I really think the Block Party pick was one of the only ones that came. I thought there was going to be a lot more mid-aughts indie rock.
I mean, we could take
that's most of my playlist, to be honest.
I want to like narrow it down, like you're speaking my fucking language.
All right,
man.
episode 2 starts now.
I really do
different strokes for different folks, guys.
Yeah, I really do think this format could be in like, all right, album openers for Midwest emo, album openers.
Yeah, because like we didn't
album.
talk about Little League or Is This Thing On, or I mean, or like New Nathan Detroit's.
Yeah,
comedy album track 1. I'm going Adam Sandler. They're all gonna laugh at you.
Well, I think Ian's gonna go with Patton Oswalt based on these conversations we've had.
Or Tenacious D. What was Kielbasa? I think that was the opener on the self-titled. Yeah.
Awesome. This playlist is gonna rule. So I will definitely obviously be sharing the playlist as a whole so everyone can enjoy it. But I want to thank all you guys for coming on. This has been awesome.
Yeah, great.
It's been it's lovely to see the range of stuff that we picked, and I feel like we could keep going like for like 10 more rounds. But thank you guys so much for joining us. Before we go, is there anything you guys want to like throw out that you got going on that you want people to know about? Josh, starting with you.
We're doing a podcast about indie rock basketballs. I don't think any of us have anything going on. We're doing a fantasy draft about
buy sell out for Christmas.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, all due respect to the podcast, I'm just saying, we're here.
No, if I do have something going on, I'll be asking you if I could be on the podcast again to pump the book.
Well, we'll talk basketball as well the next time.
Yeah,
rock on. Yeah.
We'll do double.
Love that.
But yeah, thanks again, everyone, for coming on. It's been a treat, and we'll catch you all next time.